influential lawyer in my life and career, my father, E. Christopher Johnson, Jr., who also celebrated his birthday yesterday. My father is a military man, a man of modesty and discipline, who rarely revels in the glow of his numerous accomplishments. But my father made a choice, a conscious choice, a long time ago, not only to want better for himself as an attorney, but for those around him and those that would follow. My father has laid the foundation for all of us to stand on his shoulders, as long as we're not just enjoying the ride. We have an obligation to continue to change our profession for the better, and what an act to follow. I congratulate him wholeheartedly on this well-deserved recognition for his work with NBLSA and throughout the legal community. Please help me in welcoming my father, Edward Christopher Johnson, Jr.
Thank you, Aaron, for that wonderful introduction. I'm proud of your commitment as well to justice, the law, service to others, which have been constants in your life since you were a young girl. And I'm sure that you too will continue to be a great social engineer. I want to thank NBLSA for this incredible honor. Above all else, I'm here tonight because of the blessings that God has bestowed on me throughout my life, including placing some wonderful people in my life, starting with my parents, who instilled in me a work ethic and the commitment to give back. And you've heard that over and over again during this convention from Dennis Archer, from Judge Linda Hatchett, and from Professor Ogletree. And we all realize that without people whose shoulders we could stand on, we would not be here. In my case, some of the names that I uttered when Professor Ogletree asked us to utter names were people like Charles Fairfax, who was a colleague of mine on the legal staff, Judge Damon Keith, Dennis Archer, Otis Smith. Otis Smith was the first African American to sit on the Michigan Supreme Court, but then he lost the election. After that, he thought, oh, I'm going to be appointed to the federal bench, but Damon Keith got appointed to the federal bench. So what happened? So Otis, wow, he's out. He says, okay, I'm going to go to GM. He went to GM as a senior lawyer. 10 years later, he's the first African American general counsel of a major corporation and the first officer in the history of General Motors. It just shows you setbacks aren't final. My career is similar. I started at a large firm, left the firm after 3 years, wanted to have a life and spend time with my family. Aaron was at that time 2 years old. I don't think Chip was born yet. The point is, I left. I couldn't find the right job in the profession. I looked, could not find the right job, so I became a headhunter for lawyers. I left the profession of law. I placed lawyers in law firms and corporations. I met the head of the recruiting committee of General Motors, who said, come to Detroit, help us find more lawyers. I came to Detroit. I liked what I saw in General Motors. They liked me, so the last person I placed as a headhunter was myself. The point is that your legal career is going to take many twists and turns. And even after things that seem like setbacks, Otis losing the judgeships, me leaving the practice of law, things can turn out quite well if you keep working hard, if you keep your faith in God, and you keep your faith in yourself. So don't let a situation that seems like a setback set you back. Regardless of whether or not you graduate from a top 10 law school, don't let anybody ever tell you and draw down your accomplishment from graduating from law school. I don't care what law school you went to. What's important to me, and what's important to people who are in positions like mine, is, in the words of Dr. King, the content of your character. That's what's important, not what law school you went to. Now, I talked a lot about character, and when I was at West Point, they made us do some pretty ridiculous things. Jump out of perfectly good airplanes with a parachute, of course. Run up and down the stairs. But the worst thing was this thing called survival swimming. And you went fully dressed. You had combat boots. You had a rubber rifle. You had a backpack with bricks in it. And they said, get to the other side of the pool. Well, you can't swim, so you did this thing called the bob and travel, where you jumped in the water, you let air out of your lungs so you'd sink. I know this sounds really strange. You get to the bottom of the pool, you crouch down and you push up on an angle, and that's how you traverse the water, simulating getting across a river. And so this was obviously not swimming as normal people know it. And if you were brave enough to ask about why you were doing this and why you were doing all these things, people would say, well, it's because we want you to build character. And I used to think at that time, I used to say, wow, there must be a better way to build character than what they're asking me to do. But then I found that better way, and it was becoming a lawyer. I found that becoming a lawyer was really a way to build character. And character means honor, fair play, good conscience, hard work, service, and it means balance. And of course, it means the development of the ethical standards that we embrace to guide our personal and professional lives. It may not happen tomorrow or next year, even in your first 5 years, but at some point in your legal career, you will be tempted in your desire to win or to please a client, to cut corners, to not remain true to the law and the ethics that you're going to swear to uphold. When that happens, I want you to think about that pool. Think about sinking to the bottom of the pool, out of air, and then if you don't have the character to get in the crouch and push off, you're going to drown. And so too will you sink your career if you don't have the character to stand up for what is right in tough situations that you're going to be presented as a lawyer. There's another aspect of character I want to talk about, it's service. You've heard a lot about that. And it's no secret to you that the cost of legal services are expensive. GM spends hundreds of millions of dollars, keeps 250 lawyers inside and 10,000 outside lawyers busy dealing with our legal matters. But what about the people who can't afford legal counsel? Not talking about criminal work, which is provided to the state, but everything else. What about somebody that needs a will or a power of attorney? What about somebody that needs to save themselves from foreclosure or eviction, fight a custody battle? There are scores of clients out there who are looking for lawyers to help them. 80% of these clients' needs are not being met. That's right, 80% are not being met. And so I'm proud that my staff, myself, that we take on these clients in all of these areas. And I'm just as engaged and excited about working on these clients and drafting a will for somebody who otherwise couldn't draft a will than I am for some of the billion-dollar deals that I do with General Motors. And that's the way it's got to be if you're a lawyer, because every client's got to be just as important as the next. And that's part of your oath, and that's part of what your character will be when you're a lawyer. In closing, members of NBLSA, you have a great legacy to uphold, not only with respect to becoming a lawyer, but more specifically to becoming a lawyer of African descent, and for those NBLSA members who are coming behind you. Don't let what may seem like a setback set you back. Keep forging ahead, have faith in yourself and God. Conduct yourself with honor and in an ethical manner. Serve the needs of others. Work hard but be balanced. Or stated succinctly, display character in everything that you do. Finally, don't forget that even when you're underwater, as you will be many times in your career, to draw on that character and push yourself to the top of the water and take a breath. May God bless you as you go forth in the world and make it a better place. Thank you.